Alright, today we're going to be continuing with Chapter 5, right after we did slope in the previous section. This will be the second one, which is slope-intercept form. Everyone can probably remember or memorize the equation y is equal to mx plus b. That's slope-intercept form. And so the biggest things to take away from this are that m is going to be my slope, and more importantly, it's whatever is in front of our x. So in front of our x will be our slope, just like we did with our equations last chapter. The number in front of the x, that was our pattern. That's always going to be our slope. And then the other number, in this case b, it's going to be the thing that is by itself, is going to be our y-intercept. So the second thing that we had, the one that was always by itself, that was always our starting point. That's going to be our y-intercept. So just connecting those two things together. So with each of these problems, what we want to do is we want to get our y by itself first, kind of like we did like 2 or 3 chapters ago. I want to get my y by itself. Once it's by itself, then I can figure out what my slope and y-intercept are. So with this first problem, my y is already by itself, so I know that the thing in front of the x is going to be my slope, and then the thing that is by itself is going to be my y-intercept. So I know that my slope is going to be 3, and my y-intercept is going to be -5. Same thing with the second one. Y is already by itself. So again, just be careful here. That's going to be my slope, and the number by itself is going to be my y-intercept. So my slope in this case, be careful of the sign, is -9. My y-intercept is -2. With the bottom two problems, again, I have to do a little bit of work. So to get my y by itself, I always want to add or subtract first, then I can divide. So I'm going to subtract the 4x over to the other side. Get -2y is equal to 8 minus 4x. And then I can divide everything by -2. Remember that when we do this, I'm dividing everything on the left-hand side and everything on the right-hand side by that -2. So I'm going to get -4. Careful with my sign here. -4 divided by -2 gives me a positive 2x. Once I'm there, again, recognize that my slope is the thing in front of the x. So my slope is 2. And my y-intercept is -4. Oops. With the second one, same thing. I'm going to move the x first, so subtract the 2x over to the other side. Get -4y is equal to 16 minus 2x, and then divide everything by -4. Get y is equal to -4 plus, careful with this one, it's going to be 1/2 x. -2 divided by -4 gives me positive 1/2. And so again, my slope is going to be the number in front of the x, so it's 1/2. My y-intercept is going to be -4. The piece at the bottom of your notes is pretty easy. Just writing an equation given our slope and y-intercept. So again, with each one of these, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. My slope is my m, my y-intercept is my b, so I'm literally just plugging those in, so y is equal to, it's going to be 1/2 x plus -3, or -3, you can put -3 as well, that would be the same thing. With the second one, same thing, y is equal to mx plus b, so I'm just plugging in my slope, so y is equal to -3x plus my y-intercept, which is 4. So that's writing an equation in slope-intercept form. Go ahead and flip over to the back of the notes. On the back of the notes, so we can write an equation just by looking at a graph. And so we want to do this, we want to use, so first bulleted point, I want to use 2 points to find the slope. And then we can find out where the line crosses the y-axis is our y-intercept. So I'm going to do this line first, so this line that I just highlighted in purple. So 2 points that are on this line is at that point right there and that point right there. So the easiest way to find the slope with these 2 points is I can just figure out how I got from one point to the next by going vertically and horizontally. And so when I do this, I go up 2, and I go to the right 4. And so again, my slope is rise over run. And so I rose 2. 2 is positive, so I'm going to go positive 2 on the top. And then run is my left or right, so I'm going to the right 4. So to the right is positive, so I'm 2 over 4 is my slope, which reduces down to 1/2. So that's my slope m. And then I want to figure out where the graph crosses the y-axis. Remember that this that I just highlighted in yellow is my y-axis. And so where the purple line crosses my line that I just highlighted in yellow, it's going to be that point right there. That is -2. So I know that my y-intercept is going to be -2. And so I've got a slope of 1/2 and a y-intercept of -2. So the equation for this purple line is going to be y is equal to 1/2 x minus 2, or plus -2. I can do the same thing to write an equation for the other line. So if I, let's see, so this line that I just highlighted in purple, if I wanted to find this equation for that line, I can do the same thing. The 2 points that I'm going to use are going to be that point there and that point there. So to get from that point, I can go horizontal and vertical. So I went up, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 squares. And then I went to the right 4 squares. And so when I'm writing the equation for this line, again, the slope, which is my rise over my run, is going to be I rose 4, rose 4, and ran 4, both in the positive direction. So I know that my slope is 1. And then again, my y-intercept, where the purple line and the yellow line meet each other, which is going to be right there, which I believe is -4. So my y-intercept is -4. So when I write it, I can go y is equal to, you could put 1x or just x. I'm going to put a 1 there just so we're on the same page. And then my y-intercept is a -4. So I can go -4 or plus a -4. And then the last one, graphing. We want to graph it just like we did last chapter. And so first, the only thing that we need to remember is we need to get y by itself. Once I get y by itself, then I can throw it into my graphing calculator just like we did last chapter. So for this one, I'm going to subtract the 3x over to the other side. I'm going to get 2y is equal to 2 minus 3x. Now I'm going to divide everything by 2. So I get y is equal to 1 minus 3/2 x. If you wanted to write the as 1.5, that would be fine as well. So what I'm going to do is, just like we did last chapter, once I get y by itself, then, whoopsie, I can do a little xy table, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And so I can jump over to my graphing calculator and plug in my equation. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that, so I'm going to clear this off quick. So in my graphing calculator here, I can hit my y equals button in the top left-hand corner. I can plug in my equation, which was 1 minus parentheses 3 over 2x. And then I can hit my second graph, and then there pulls up my XY table. So, so when I'm doing this, I can plug it or plot each of those points: -2, 4, -1, 2.5, 0, 1, 1, -1 point, or -0.5, and then 2, -2. So again, my XY table here, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So I've got negative 4. Oops, you know it's positive 4, isn't it? 2.5, 1, negative 0.5, and then negative 2. So I can plot each one of those points. Negative 2, positive 4, that's left 2 up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 1, 2.5, right about there. 0, 1. 1, negative 0.5, and then 2, negative 2. And if you want, you can graph more points. Sometimes it's easier to graph whole numbers. So you'd have like negative 4, positive 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And then if I went down, you can scroll down on your graph to get 4, negative 5. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can connect my lines together, and there's my graph. Same thing with the second one. I can add the 4x over to the other side. Get 3y is equal to 12 plus 4x, and then divide everything by 3. Get y is equal to 4 plus 4/3 x. So again, when I plug that in, 4 plus parentheses 4 divided by 3x, hit second graph. And this is going to be one where when I look at my table, I'm going to want to use whole number ordered pairs. So when I graph this thing, I go 4 plus parentheses 4 divided by 3x. I'm going to get some pretty weird decimals. So what I want to do is I want to choose the whole numbers that I have here. So I've got negative 3, 0, and then I can scroll down. I got 0, 4, 3, 8. Graph as many as I can fit on that graph. So I may even have to come up here to negative 6, negative 4. So back here, with my table, I'm going to end up plotting, let's see, kind of try to do as many as I can. So my XY table, I'm going to use, so if I use negative 6 and negative 4, another whole number order pairs negative 3 and 0, 0 and 4, and that may be the only ones that, I've got 3, 8, that'll go barely off my graph, I'll graph that one too. But I can graph as many that'll fit on there. So negative 6, negative 4, negative 3, 0, 0, 4, and then 3, 8. Oops, that 8 didn't come out. Oops. And so I end up getting a line that looks something like this.